from section 7, or section 7 from the Coleridge's ode, Dejection. Hence viper thoughts that coil around my mind, reality's dark dream. Now, this is a kind of reality of his which is colorless, and so it's his dark poetic dream. And for me, there's a kind of sense of banishment, that banished from a right kind of thinking that Coleridge would like to have. I turn from you and listen to the wind. He kind of changes the subject here, and even though she might not be, the thoughts might not be attending to him after doing so, which long has raved unnoticed. What a scream of agony by torture lengthened out, that lute sent forth. So he's sitting here listening to the shouts of the wind, and it's not a happy kind of listening or sound. He's actually in kind of a fit because of it being lengthened out, the wind, and the kind of awful dissonance that is happening. Thou wind that ravest without, bare crag, or mountain tarn, or blasted tree, or pine grove whither woodmen never clomb. So this wind is coming, I guess, from the west, and there's it ravest without the bare crag. He doesn't have to have that mountain environment or landscape. The storm seems to have come and is affecting all this in nature around him, which he is inspiring this part of the feeling of ruin, and kind of like solitude also at the same time. Or lonely house, long held the witch's home, methinks were fitter instruments for thee, mad lutenist. So he's feeling a sense of experience here, about the long held, the witch's home, that the wind has had that experience of always rushing to different places, and here it is, this weird place of the witch's home. Methinks we're fitter instruments for thee, mad lutenist. So it's kind of a vision that he has here, this kind of agony. Who in the mouth of showers, of dark brown gardens, and of peeping flowers, makes devils you with worse than wintry song. So in this house where the witches could be, he's imagining kind of this harmony with the witches' Yule, and the flowers that are peeping in the garden. All this is a kind of ruined because of being the winter time. His words are not the worse for it being so, but the environment is. The blossoms, buds, and timorous leaves among, thou actor, perfect in all tragic sounds. So he's saying that even in the winter time, there's flowers that are blooming. There are buds, and the leaves are still on some of the trees. um, making all this song, and he thinks that it has a kind of personified perfect delight in being this particular way, um, and um, what what he's seeing and hearing um, is a really affecting him in a bold way. Thou mighty poet, even to frenzy bold, what tellest thou now about 'tis the rushing of an host in rout? So he's saying that he's right to write about this in a bold way. Um, kind of the fury and the ferocity of the place. What can he tell about this scene? Um, it for him it tells a story of a rushing of a host en route, or host could maybe be like a soldier, with groans of trampled men, with smarting wounds. At once they groan with pain and shudder with the cold. So he has a sense of wonder about this torturing of the weather, the pains that bring not much pleasure with it, and the opposite of pleasure, um, because of the shuddering of the cold. Um, but hush, there is a pause of deepest silence, and all that noise as of a rushing crowd. So I think he's thinking that silence triumphs here, um, in the deepest sense, um, because there's a pause, kind of like an eye of a hurricane, um, and it's a frolicsome noise. With groans and tremulous shudderings, all is over. It tells another tale, with sounds less deep and loud. So actually, the storm is over, uh, and it doesn't have that same um, face that it did before. Um, there is a wellness to back to what he's experiencing now. The feeling after this, the groans of the storm and the sounds that he had heard, a tale of less affright and tempered with delight, at Otway's self had framed the tender lay. So, for instance, now he's telling a new story um, of more richness that can be taken from this place, um, or where Otway's self had framed the tender lay, kind of like a maybe like as if he were a shepherd. 'Tis of a little child upon a lonesome wild, not far from home, but she hath lost her way. So this sense of loss, I would think that it be because being far from home in the wilderness, um, and having something to complain about, um, in a kind of wooded area perhaps, and now uh, this would bring back the sense of fear and sublimeness. Moans low in bitter grief and fear, and now screams loud and hopes to make her mother hear. So it's not exactly what I think that it seems. It could be a metaphor for the weather too, and there's a sense of not so much celebration, because there's this grief and sublimity and awe of being what it's like to be lost in time, worried about coming back to the home, So the hoping that her mom will listen, um, the little child is screaming now with not much knowledge of how things will turn out.